देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवतीर्मुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण। Would somebody like to recollect last week's class?
Should I try, Prabhuji?
Yes, no problem.
Okay. So resuming to our original shloka, the discussion, the Gajendra's prayers, 8.3.8. Every Anucheda has a 4 shloka from the Bhagavatam. So this is the main shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam Navidyate. Bhagavan has no name, virtues, vices, birth, form, action, etc. However, the purpose of creation and destruction, he accepts these perpetually by his internal potency. The distinctive feature of the Lord's attribute is that they are actually extraordinary. You spoke about Adbhut, transcends, or all that has come into being. How do we understand this? Because Lord's attributes, they attract minds of even liberated sages who takes pleasure in their self. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.7.10. Sages, though who are free from the knot of ego, 3 words are used, Atma Ramasya Nirgrantha Munayo. Still, they engage in causeless devotion to Sri Hari, the majestic player who is Urukrama, who performs super extraordinary activities. Such are the entrancing quality of Sri Hari. Being captivated by Lord Sri Hari's quality, Shukdev Goswami, who is powerful son of Vyasadev, who is also called Bhagwan. He studied the great book Srimad Bhagavatam. He is also called Vishnu Janapriya, Lord's ever beloved devotee. He read, and then Vishnu Dharmottara Purana. You quoted that also. The Supreme Person has all the auspicious qualities due to majestic inherent in his being and is completely devoid of any defects. Therefore, he is supreme. Some people who are unacquainted in their spiritual truth, they say because of Maya, Bhagwan has good qualities and defects. So neither Maya nor the wildest illusion is present in him. The qualities and the form, they do not spring from Maya, they spring from his own magnificence. That's why, because Lord is free from Maya, he's said to be transcendental and he's supreme, Param Viduhu. Then you spoke about the doubt which can be, which may be which may be raised, even if he accepts that features of the Lord, that is birth, qualities, actions, and form, they are all manifestations of his essential nature. But since Lord is Swarupa, he is Purna, he is complete, then what is the need for Bhagwan to accept them? Then connecting with the Gajendra's prayers, 8.3.8, na vidyate yasya janma. The first line says that the Lord does not have form, birth, action, etc. So the meaning is that Lord, except for the purpose of creation and destruction of the material world, and Loka, you said there's another word of interpreting this word is Bhakta Jana, the devotees for the purpose in order to destroy the material existence of the devotees. Then you use this word bhakta janas tasya apyaya. Have I pronounced it properly? Bhakta janas.
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
yes,
So
yes.
yeah. Okay. And also
Bhakta janas tasyapyah. Bhakta
uh,
janas tasyapyah.
it's tasya apyaya ya tasyapyah. How would you say? If you have to break it, it's tasya apyaya. Right.
Tasya apyayah. It
Huh.
become by Sandhi rules, it becomes tasyapyayah.
Right. Okay. And even to bestow bhakti sukh upon his devotees, the sadhana siddha. In case of nitya siddha, the Lord accepts name, form, etc., simply to increase the devotional bliss of his eternally liberated devotees. This is confirmed in 1.7.25, what Arjuna speaks. You know, when the Brahmastra was released, O Krishna, you descend in order to remove Bhar Jihirshaya, burden of the earth. Another reason you descend to inspire unbroken meditation of your associate, and those devotees exist only for him and his service. Then, just like there are other avatars like Purusha avatars, Krishna is also avatara, but Krishna is exhibiting himself as avatar. It is only an appearance, because Krishna is not just an avatar, he's a source of all avatar. He's a source of Mahavishnu, and he makes an appearance as if he's an avatar. So this you quoted to verse 1.3.22. Krishna is listed as among avatars, and then 1.3.28 shloka he's listed as Krishna to Bhagwan Swam. He Swam Bhagwan, even though you have appeared to relieve the burden of his devotees. Earth is also called Krishna's pure devotees. Bhagwan appears in order to grant his other devotees the bliss of engaging in the service through constant meditation. And then one more doubt is raised. If Lord has a particular purpose in order to create bliss of his devotees, or in order to inspire his Shuddha Bhakta, how to meditate upon him constantly? Though previously it is stated Bhagwan is supremely bliss personified, therefore what has he to gain by creating the material world? So Bhagwan does this. The implication is that although Bhagwan is Purnanand, he is Sarvagna Shiromani, crest jewel of the omniscient, and Nirdosh Shiromani, who is faultless. He would be guilty of the fault of being merciless, uh, uh, of the neglect to his devotees, who are exclusively dependent on him. So that's why he comes in order to bestow bliss upon his Ananya Bhaktas, and Bhagwan appears as avatar also to remove the burden of the earth. Yeah. Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. So we completed till here. This paragraph. Tantra. So we'll proceed ahead. So the doubt is raised. I'll start from there. Nanu tarhi bhakta saukhyameva prayojanam jatamiti पूर्णानन्दस्य तस्येह प्रयोजनम् अतिः प्रयोजनम् पूर्णानन्दस्य तस्येह प्रयोजनमति प्रयोजनमतिः कुतः इत्येतत् कथम् उपपद्येत. Further doubt is raised. Since the Lord is Purnananda, completely blissful, tasyeha prayojanamati kutah. So what has he to gain by creating this world? How can this statement be true if the Lord does have a purpose? The statement of Arjuna said that the Lord had a purpose to remove the burden of the world and to inspire unbroken meditation upon him in this unalloyed devotees. It seems that Lord does have a purpose. That means that to give devotional bliss to his devotees. Bhakta saukyam eva prayojanam jata. Then if it is mentioned like that, then how can you say that Lord does not have a purpose? then what does he to gain? Then the Lord is completely blissful. What has he to gain by creating this world? So it seems that he has something to gain. That means he's granting the devotional bliss to his devotees. So tatra aha ananya bhavanam iti. Anyata sarvagya shiromaner nirdoshasya tasya tanmatra apekshakanam tesham upekshayam akarunya doshah prayujyeta iti bhavaha. So therefore, in the Arjuna's verse, he says that Ananya Bhavanam, Swanam cha Ananya Bhavanam, Anudhyayanaya chasakrit. So you are doing so for the sake of the Ananya Bhaktas, those devotees who exist only for you. So the implication is that the Lord who is faultless, Nirdosha, and Sarvagya Shiromani, with the crest jewel of the omniscient people, the Lord would be guilty if tanmatra apekshakanam, if he would be guilty of the fault of unmercifulness, if he neglected his devotees. If he had neglected his devotees, then he would be actually having the fault of actually mercilessness upon those people who are exclusively dependent on. Then further it is explained, Atma Ramopi Karunya Gunavakashu Guna Viruddha Apitu समाहार्याश्च सर्वतः कौर्मे मतलब कूर्म पुराण इति स्मरणात्. So although the Lord is Atma Ramah api, although he is Atma Rama, Karunya Guna Avakashu, the virtue of compassion is possible only in him, who is the shelter of all the extraordinary qualities. Vichitra Guna Nidane Shri Bhagavati Eva Sambhavati. Vichitra Guna Nidane. Nidana means reservoir. Nidhi is the shelter of extraordinary qualities. The virtue of compassion is possible only in him. Karunya Guna Avakasho. And moreover, Kurma Puran says that Guna Viruddha Apitu Samaharyascha Sarvata. The absolute truth has many contradictory qualities. Even contradictory qualities are samaharyarcha sarvatah, are accommodated in the absolute truth. Tatah anyatra tu sancharita tad gunamshe tadiya eva yaha pratipadameva sa aschariyam shrutyadibir uchair ghiyate. So when this quality of compassion is found in others, tataha anyatratu, when it is found in others, it is sancharita tad gunamshe tadiyaiva. It is an infusion of a portion of the Lord's compassion. Tadiya yaha, which scriptures glorify. Pratipadameva sarcharyam shrutyadibir uchair giyate, which scriptures uchair giyate, loudly glorify. Sa Ascharyam, with great wonder, Pratipadam, at every moment. So the Lord has this quality of compassion. This quality of compassion only is infused with others also. And this quality of compassion is glorified by the scriptures loudly at every step. Yascha virincha Yascha virincha mapa Yascha virincham virincham a pamara virincham a pamara janam akarshan eva vartate. So this quality of compassion attracts, starting from Lord Brahma to the a pamara jana, that means a very wretched person. This quality constantly attracts. Akarshan eva vartate, constantly attracts everyone from Brahma to the most wretched fool. Taduktam Sri Dashame Swayameva. Bhagavan himself declares this in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto. This is from a very profound section in the Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 32nd chapter. You see, these two verses are in the part of the Rasa Panchadhyaya. 32nd chapter is Krishna's reunion with the gopis. Krishna disappears from the gopis, and then the gopis are frantically looking for Krishna, and then the gopis locate the footprints of Krishna and Radharani, and then they meet Radharani, then all of them together sing the Gopi Gita, and then Krishna appears again. And Krishna appears again, the gopis ask a question in a riddle format. In a paradoxical way, gopis ask a question about why Krishna behaved in that manner. Why Krishna suddenly disappeared from their midst. It's a very profound question actually. That will be itself be a very separate, it will be a long class actually. And then Krishna responds to the queries of the gopis. There are 6 verses spoken by Krishna. In that these 2 verses come. 2 days back, Nityanand Prabhu was sharing a beautiful point. When we see whether in the Krishna Leela or Ram Leela, we have this Mahabharata war and a Ramayana war. So generally, conditioned souls are attracted to the topics of quarrel, politics, and the topics of romance. These are topics which a conditioned soul is very much attracted to. That is why all the newspapers and news channels, they usually cover these topics. People, they read very attentively the political news, topics of quarrel, romance, whether the movies or news channels or magazines, they always cover these topics. So Krishna in the Mahabharata war is like the peak of politics, the highest peak of politics, and so much of there is a quarrel between the Kauravas and the Pandavas. But in the midst of the highly political situation, in the midst of the quarrel, Krishna spoke the highest peak of transcendental philosophy, the highest peak of spirituality, the topmost spiritual message is spoken by Krishna in a setting where there was politics and quarrel. What is the topmost spiritual message? Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam raja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami mashucha. Just before the war was going to take place, going to begin, Krishna spoke the Gita. And the topmost spiritual message was spoken in a setting of politics and quarrel. And in Ramayana, we see again there is a fight and war between the Ram Sena and the Ravana Sena. So, but before that war, Ram spoke the topmost spiritual message. Sakrideva prapannoya stavasmi iti achate abhayam sarvada tasmai dadam yetat pratam maha. If a person comes and surrenders to me and says me, I am yours, then I actually take the vow to give abhayadan to such a person. This is the topmost Ramayana Charama Shloka. So the topmost spiritual message, Krishna, Lord Ram, same similar to what Sarvadharman Parityajya. Lord Ram spoke this in the midst of the setting of a quarrel. And similarly, in the Rasa Leela, apparently in the amorous affairs, and that too between amorous affair outside the marriage. And this is something very attractive for a common conditioned soul. But in that setting, Krishna speaks the topmost spiritual message. So those 6 verses spoken by Krishna, 10th canto, 32nd chapter, last 6 verses. So in that Krishna speaks some of his innermost core of his heart and the appreciation he has towards the gopis. So what Krishna spoke in the Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, Ye yatamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyam. So in this Krishna spoke, the way people approach me, I also worship, I also reciprocate with the person accordingly. But this message is not the innermost core of Krishna. But the innermost heart of Krishna is exhibited by Krishna in these verses. Because in the 4.11 Krishna says that the way people approach me, I also reciprocate to them accordingly. Ye yata tam tata. But the innermost heart of Krishna is revealed by Krishna in these shlokas. I'll recite the shloka. Bhajatopi na vai kechit bhajantya bhajata kutah atma rama hyapta kama akritagnya gurudruhah nagam tu sakyo bhajatopi jantun भजाम्यमीषामनुवृत्तिवृत्तये यथा दनो लब्धदने विनष्टे तच्चिन्तयान्यन् निवृथो न वेद. So Krishna says that bhajatopi navai kechit bhajanti abhajatak kutah. There are some people who are Atma Rama, and Aptakama, others who have Aptakama, attained, fulfilled. There are some people who delight in the self alone, Atma Rama. 1 minute. There are some people who delight in the self alone. And there are others who are Aptakama, that means who have attained fulfillment of all desires. And there are others who are Akritagya, that means who are by nature ungrateful. And Gurudruha, and there are others who are simply envious of their superiors. Who are simply envious of their superiors. So these 4 kinds of people, Atma Rama, Aptakama, Akritagnya and Gurudruha. What do they do? Bhajato api navai kechit bhajanti abhajata kutah. These 4 kinds of people do not return even the love of those who love them, let alone those who do not love them. So these 4 kinds of people, because they are either Atma Rama or Aptakama, or they are by nature ungrateful, or they are envious of the superiors, therefore they don't return the love of those who love them. They don't return the service of those who serve them. What to speak of those who do not love them, those who do not serve them. And then Krishna says, but Sakyo, but my dear friends, but Naham tu Sakyo bhajatopi jantu. But I do not love in a calculated manner. Bhajam amisham anuvritti vrittaye. I do not love in a calculated manner, reciprocating anuvritti vrittaye, reciprocating merely in an exact proportion to the amount of love I receive from my worshippers. Nagam tu sakyo bhajatopi jantun Bhajam Amisham Anuvritti Vritti. So I do not love in a calculated manner, reciprocating merely in an exact proportion to the amount of love I receive from my worshippers. 1 minute. So, my dear friends, I do not love in a calculated manner, reciprocating merely in an exact proportion to the amount of love I receive from my worshippers. So, Krishna, actually, the full translation is not given, but um, so then Krishna says that the reason I do not immediately reciprocate the affection of living beings, even when they worship me, is that I want to intensify their loving devotion. They then become like a poor man who has gained some wealth and then lost it, and who thus becomes so anxious about it that he can think of nothing else. So Krishna here in these two verses, Krishna is actually revealing the quality of compassion. That is what actually we are discussing here. Krishna's quality.
Sorry, Prabhu, to interrupt. So, like, what if for an ordinary person who's trying to practice devotional service, the faith will not just go away? I mean, this is all for very highly elevated people like Kunti Maharani and all. They are asking for all calamities and all, and so, but for an ordinary person, if uh, the faith would not get affected, like if they're trying to approach Krishna with steadiness and determination, but then Krishna would not reciprocate with them.
No, Krishna actually never tests a person beyond one's capacity. So even for an ordinary devotee or a beginner devotee or a sadhaka bhakta, when he goes through difficulties, it is always given according to the level of the person by Krishna. So in the Bali Maharaj purport, Prabhupada says that Bali Maharaj was tested in such a way that we can't even imagine. In that way, Bali Maharaj was tested. But for other devotees, Krishna will test a person according to one's capacity, and he will also give the strength to go through the test. But the devotee has to utilize it. It's like, for example, a teacher is teaching the students. The student asks so many questions, and teacher answers the questions. But then at the end of the year, when there is a final exam, he's sitting in the exam hall. At that time, the student goes and asks questions to the teacher, and the teacher keeps a Mauna Vrata. So, can the student say that, oh, so long you actually you answered so many questions, but now why are you keeping quiet? Why are you not answering my questions? So, at that time, the teacher is keeping silent in order to, that is for the good of the student, in order to test the student what he has learned throughout the year, in order to bring out the in order to make the student strong. If he had helped at that time also in the exam hall by reciprocating directly, by giving the answer, then the student will not actually grow in his life. In order to make the student to grow, the teacher taught throughout the year, but at a certain point he also keeps quiet.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So in this these two shlokas, why Jiva Goswami is quoting? Jiva Goswami is quoting that how this quality of compassion is constantly attracts everyone from Brahma to the most wretched fool and wretched fool. And Krishna himself is revealing this quality of compassion. So the gopis actually, when you see the 32nd chapter, the gopis, they felt that Krishna acted in a very cruel manner by suddenly disappearing from their midst. They were not able to understand why Krishna behaved in that manner. There was they wanted to they had a strong doubt in Krishna, but at the same time they could not express that their opinion openly. So therefore, they asked the question in a paradoxical, in a riddle type question. In this world, there are four kinds of people. Which category you belong to? Like that, four or five, six categories they mentioned. And then Krishna answers in this way. The reply which Krishna gave, the gopis did not expect that reply in their mind. Krishna's non-reciprocation is a sign of his love for the devotees. Krishna's non-reciprocation, Krishna sometimes does not reciprocate, although he says, Ye tamam prapadyati tam tataiva bhajamyakam. Sometimes the devotee is doing so much for Krishna, but Krishna doesn't seem to be doing anything in proportion to that. And that apparent non-reciprocation of Krishna is actually a sign of love, is a sign of love of Krishna towards the devotees. Because Krishna wants to intensify the love of the devotees by his apparent non-reciprocation. And when the devotees' love increase, then the devotees will be able to more deeply be connected with Krishna. So that apparent non-reciprocation of Krishna is actually Krishna himself actually he suffers by seeing the devotee suffering. But Krishna suffers more than the devotee suffering. But still Krishna tolerates his suffering for the sake of increasing the love of his devotees. For the sake of increasing the love of his devotees. That is why he does not reciprocate immediately. Yeah, next. Tasmat
Or
Paramas.
maybe so that the practicing devotee understands the futility of the material world. Is that the reason also?
So that yasyaham anubrudnami harishe taddanam shanam. Krishna sometimes takes away the different shelters from the life of a devotee so that the devotee who is surrendered to Krishna at the same time he has different material attachments. In order to make him take exclusive shelter of him, Krishna takes away certain material shelters which he is to which the devotee is attached to. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes.
Does the devotee know that the Krishna's not reciprocating with his bhakti or with his desire to see him or to reciprocate? Does he know that? And yet he is. How does that anxiety in him increases or love increases for Krishna more and more? If he knows that it would not increase, right? The anxiety to see him or the restlessness in him of the due to love or something. How does that increases basically? By not Krishna's non-reciprocation.
Yeah, the sense See, in the case of a devotee, his love for Krishna is not dependent on whether Krishna reciprocating or not. For example, when you see the life of the Pandavas, Narada Muni goes to meet the Pandavas in the forest. And Narada Muni says to, after observing the life of the Pandavas, Narada actually comes and tells to Krishna that Bhavat Udayatishware Suhrudi Hanta Rajya Chutir. Although the Supreme Lord has appeared as the friend of the Pandavas, but still the Pandavas met with so many calamities, such as Rajya Chuti, losing the kingdom, and Mukunda Vasatir Vane, living in the forest, and acting as servant, Paragrhecha Dasya Kriya, acting as a servant in somebody else's house. So many difficulties the Pandavas had. But their sweet friendship for Krishna doubled in spite of this. Parantu Vavrude Twayi Dvigunam Eva Sakyamrutam. The Pandavas' love for Krishna doubled in spite of this. So why it doubled? Is it because Krishna reciprocated with the Pandavas? Is it that Krishna reciprocated with the Pandavas by giving opulences in the forest, or giving them the kingdom, or giving them a respectable position when they had to serve as a laborer in somebody else's house? Now, Krishna did not reciprocate, but still the Pandavas actually love for Krishna doubled in spite of this. So Narada Muni observed that, and then he is amazed at that. So what actually made the, why is it, how could actually the Pandavas' love for Krishna doubled in spite of Krishna's non-reciprocation? So Jiva Goswami says that the Pandavas' love for Krishna was not produced by Krishna helping them. Was not Pandavas' love doubled not because that is not because that Krishna reciprocated with them. But then how did it double? By experiencing Krishna's profusion of wonderful qualities unequaled in anyone else. So the Pandavas' appreciation of Krishna's qualities destroyed their experience of suffering, which Krishna did not prevent. Pandavas' experience of suffering was not prevented by Krishna, but because in that situation, the Pandavas appreciated the qualities of Krishna, and therefore their prema for Krishna increased despite Krishna's external non-reciprocation. So that is the, in the sense, essentially. So the devotees, if you see the expectation of a miracle, sometimes we expect different miracles in our life. But the expectation of miracle, there is a subtle, sometimes ego involved, like something we want extraordinary to happen. Yeah, we have to depend on Krishna. But then sometimes when we expect miracles, there was one devotee was sharing actually. In Tamil Nadu, there was one very, very good devotee, supportive of many projects actually, very wealthy devotee. So his son, in a young age, he got actually cancer. And his son just had a small children, school-going children. And then, so when he got cancer, there were repeated surgeries performed. And then, so when he was going through, the wife was doing some intense austerities, like getting up in the morning, 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, chanting so many rounds, and doing many different activities. Somehow the husband is saved. Naturally, the wife's desire is but then, he died actually around 1 year back. Till that time, the wife was doing very intense bhakti actually, chanting many rounds, getting up early in the morning, many things. Here she, although very young lady, she went to, I think, Tirupati, and then somebody was saying she had a very beautiful hair, but she even shaved that hair. For a woman to shave the hair and become completely bald, it's a very big thing actually. But she did all those things so that the husband can be saved. But then the fate had another this thing that he could not be protected. He died. But after that, the lady she had lost all interest in the bhakti actually. She stopped everything. Yeah, she may be good, nice with the devotees like that. So the why I'm saying is that yeah, from Siddhanta point of view, bhakti is eternal. It's just a matter of time. At some point of time, she'll again come back to seriousness and bhakti, either this life or next life or something. But why I'm saying is that there was a intense bhakti, intense sacrifice. Just imagine a woman having a young woman having a beautiful hair, but giving up the hair just so that the husband can be protected. So you can imagine the intensity of the prayer. But then the husband died, she stopped everything. That means there is a strong expectation of a miracle. So we should depend on Krishna, but at the same time, when we have an expectation of a miracle, and then when the miracle does not happen, because even in the Pandavas' lives, Krishna did not perform only that one miracle of supplying unlimited profuse amount of sari to Draupadi. That was the but very few miracles actually. Apart from that, the Pandavas had to go through 14 years of Vanvas. At that time, Krishna did not perform any miracle. Pandavas had to work as a laborer in somebody else's house. There was no miracle. So when we have expectation of a miracle, and then usually, even in the case of the Pandavas, it didn't happen. So what to speak of in our this one. So when it does not happen, then our faith goes to the other extreme. We may lose, we may stop everything, and we may lose enthusiasm. So therefore, we have to depend on Krishna without expectation of the miracle, leaving to Krishna, putting complete trust in Krishna. Whatever you decide is that's the best thing. Whatever you think which is best for us, best for the person, please do it in that way. We should trust not only Krishna's power, but we should also trust Krishna's intelligence. So sometimes we trust Krishna, we half trust Krishna. We don't trust Krishna completely. The sense that we trust Krishna's power, but we don't trust Krishna's intelligence. We trust Krishna's power, therefore we go to Krishna when there is difficulty. But then we don't trust Krishna's intelligence. We think we trust more in our own intelligence. Therefore, we tell to Krishna, I think, please solve this problem in this particular way. In that way, we actually indirectly actually pray to Krishna, which means that we are telling to Krishna, this is the way to solve the problem. Please solve the problem in this way. So we have, but trusting Krishna's intelligence also means what? That is what Prithu Maharaj offers in his prayer. The last prayer of Prithu Maharaj. Prithu Maharaj says that Twan Maya Yadha Jana Isha Kandito Yadanyadashasta Ritatmano Buddha Yatacharet Balahitam Pita Swayam Tatatvamevar Hasina Samihitam. My Lord, due to your illusory energy, all the living beings have forgotten the real constitutional position. And out of ignorance, they are always desirous of material happiness in the form of society, friendship, and love. So please do not ask me to take a material benediction from you. But just like a father knows what is best for the child, the father does what is best for the child. Similarly, you are my father, you know what is best for me, you do whatever is best for me. Like that, Prithu Maharaj trusts Krishna's intelligence also, not only Krishna's power. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So,
Very
so
nice.
also like maybe because Krishna, of course, he's Sarvagya, he knows our future. So he starts for a devotee, he starts playing around with his with that lady's present situation, you know, because he knows what is going to happen in future for that lady, what is destined for her. So that's why he starts playing around with the present. So by orchestrating all these things, though we feel why Krishna did not reciprocate, but Krishna knows her destiny in future, like what is she going to, how is she going to benefit, or what loss or gain or whatever can happen if the husband survives. I mean, I'm just speculating, but he starts playing around with your present. I think something similar, Vritrasura prayers, what you said, or I'm mistaken. No, no. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, then next paragraph, last. Tasmat parama samartasya tasya kripa lakshanam bhaktajana sukha prayojanakatvam nama kopi swarupananda vilasabhuta paramascharya swabhava vishesha iti मूलपद्ये अपि अनुकालं रिच्यति इत्यनेन एव दर्शितम्. So he is answering that objection. What was that objection? Since the Lord is completely blissful, what has he to gain by creating this world? If the Lord does have a purpose, namely to grant a devotional bliss to his devotees, how can this statement be true? That he does not have anything to gain. So he is concluding this question by saying that, therefore, tasmat parama samartasya, the Lord who is most capable, tasya kripa lakshanam, shows his quality of mercy for what? Bhaktajana sukha prayojanakatvam, in order to bestow bliss upon his devotees. And this mercy is a special Swarupananda Vilasa Bhuta and most extraordinary feature of Bhagavan. Parama Ascharya Swabhava Vishesha. And it manifests from the bliss inherent in his Swarupa. And this has been already explained in the original verse under the discussion. The Gajendra's prayer. Anukalam Richyati Ityanena Eva Darshitam. Ataha Prayojanantaramatitvam tu tasmin nastyeva. So therefore, he certainly prayojana antaramatitvam tu tasmin nastyeva. Certainly he has no other purpose in mind. No other purpose in mind except what purpose? To bestow the bliss upon his devotees by showing his mercy. Tat prayojanatvam cha tasya parama samartasya ananda vilasa eva iti dik. This purpose is simply a manifestation of the beatitude. Beatitude means a state of supreme happiness. This purpose is simply a manifestation of the state of supreme happiness of he who is unlimitedly capable. Parama samartasya ananda vilasa. This is the intended direction of the verse. Yatoktam, as it is stated. So he quotes another shloka. This shloka, I don't know where it is, but So it seems Gajendra's prayer to Krishna, but I don't think it is from Bhagavatam. Yatoktam Kripalorasamartasya Dukkayaiva Kripaluta Samartasya tu tasyaiva Sukayaiva Kripaluta. The mercy of a compassionate yet incapable person. Dukkayaiva, it only brings misery to others. Whereas the mercy of a compassionate person who is capable brings forth happiness. Samartasya tu tasyaiva sukayaiva kripaluta. Kripalor asamartasya dukkayaiva kripaluta. Samartasya tu tasyaiva sukayaiva kripaluta. The mercy of a compassionate person, it only brings forth happiness. So I'll quickly read the purport and then we'll briefly start the.
Prabhuji, can I ask one more question?
Yes.
You said that the Lord created this world for the blissful transcendental past, to create a blissful time for his devotees, right? And we also have come across many places that the God has created for Dukhalaya Ashashvatam, and also for the people to purify because of their the desire. So it's not possible in anywhere else. The enjoying propensity and other anarthas, what he has to purify, that he has to come to this material world and get purified and go back. Now it has got a multiple purpose, but yet how the devotee is going to enjoy the blissful state in the created world, material world? Is he going to preach, or is he going to, because even if he is in Goloka Vrindavan, he is going to do the service only. How does this creation of material world facilitate him to be blissful?
How does the creation of material world facilitate him to be blissful? No. See, in the case of a pure devotee, he is only interested in serving Krishna. Wherever that service is available, that is the source of bliss for him. Narayana parasarve na kutarchana vipyati swarga apavarga narakeshu apitulyad darshana. So there are, see, regarding the purpose of creating this world, these purposes are also mentioned in the Shastras. To facilitate the living entities' independent desire to enjoy this world, and then to punish the living entity, give miseries to the living entity in its attempts to enjoy this world, and so that the living entity realizes to surrender to the Bhagavan. These purposes are also mentioned in the Shastra. So there are some, just like we have internal reason and external reason for Mahaprabhu's appearance. Similarly, there are internal reason why Krishna, internal reason like why Krishna appears in this world in order to show mercy to his pure devotees who are suffering in separation from Krishna. The external reason is to establish dharma in this world and also to attract the conditioned souls. While showing his mercy to the pure devotees, he also attracts the common conditioned souls to his pastimes. These reasons are also there. There are some secondary reasons, external reasons, some are internal reasons. And Krishna perfectly balances while pursuing his internal desire. At the same time, he also accomplishes the external desire related to this world, establishing dharma in this world, like that. Establishing dharma in this world, that means establishing the varnashram dharma. He perfectly balances his internal desire of reciprocating this pure devotee, showing mercy to the pure devotee, balances that with the external reason of establishing dharma. So, in the case of a devotee, like Vishwam Purna Sukayate, Vidhimagendradishya Kitayate, a person who has received the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he considers this Dukkalaya world to be Sukhalaya, Vishwam Purna Sukayate. How can he consider like that? Because Like he is trying to see Krishna in every situation. He's remembering Krishna in every situation. He's trying to serve Krishna in every situation. Therefore, he considers this world to be blissful. Hare Krishna. So these are all very high consciousness.
Yeah, excellent, Prabhu. Very, very nice of making us understand. This is there could be another vision also. We were not aware even actually. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So we'll briefly go through the commentary. So after establishing the Bhagavan's birth, name, form, and actions are eternal, the transcendental, distinct from the material counterparts, Jiva Goswami continues to explain the original Bhagavatam verse, Na vidyate yasya cha janma karma va, nanama rupe gunadosha eva va, tatapi loka pyave sambhavaya, swamayaya tan yanukulam richati. That is the original Bhagavatam verse. So to prove that how the Lord's attributes are transcendental, he quotes the history of Shukdev Goswami. How Shukdev Goswami was deeply absorbed in Brahman, who did not even distinguish between male and female. But when he heard the verses of the Bhagavatam, he was completely captivated, being attracted by the qualities of Krishna. And then he gave up his Brahman realization, and he actually he took the effort of studying the Bhagavatam. Then after stating, so if the Lord, the Bhagavan did not have, the Bhagavan does not have transcendental qualities, then Shukadeva Goswami's mind would not have been drawn to Bhagavan's qualities. Because Shukadeva Goswami is Brahman realized. How can his mind be drawn to the Bhagavatam if the Bhagavan had material qualities? So therefore, Bhagavan has transcendental attributes, which are superior even to the bliss of liberation. So then after stating that the Lord's name, birth, actions are manifestations of internal potency, a further doubt is raised. That is, Bhagavan is complete in his Swarupa, then why does he accept birth and so on? Jiva Goswami answers that Bhagavan is Atma Rama, he delights in the self alone. But still he engages in the pastimes, such as taking birth and killing the demons. But this does not make him incomplete. If he remained absorbed only in his own internal bliss and he did not act to protect the devotees in the material world, then it would actually it would make the Lord being unmerciful, being merciless. But mercy is one of the excellent qualities of the Bhagavan. So only out of mercy for his devotees who are suffering in separation from him, the Krishna appears in the material world. So only because of the mercy, Krishna sometimes forgets himself and becomes a servant of his devotees. And his merciful nature captivates the mind of even the Atma Ramas. So one of the verses which captivated the mind of Shukadeva Goswami is what? Which verse? Aho bakiyam stanakala kutam jigam sayapa yedapyasadvi lebe gati aho bakiyam stanakala kutam jigam sayapa yedapyasadvi lebe gatim dat ruchitam tatonyam kamba dayalum sharanam vrajema. So this quality of Krishna's mercy captivated even Shukadeva Goswami's mind, Atmaram. In some cases, a person is merciful, but incapable of helping others. But such mercy is impotent, and that such mercy only becomes a cause of further misery. Therefore, one should not try to be merciful artificially. But Lord is omnipotent. He has power, and therefore his mercy nourishes his devotees. When he sees this, his bliss increases even beyond what he normally feels in his own Swarup. His mercy nourishes his devotees. When he sees this, when the devotees are nourished, then his bliss increases even beyond. As was said earlier, energy yields greater pleasure when applied. For this reason, Krishna performs these pastimes perpetually. Why? In order to show mercy to the devotees. Anukalam richati. Therefore, Bhagavan's actions are a manifestation of his bliss and have no other purpose. With this, we come to the end of the 47th Anucheda. After, I think, several weeks. Come to the end of the 47th Anucheda. Should we start the 48th Anucheda maybe briefly? I'll just maybe 5-7 minutes we'll start and then stop. So 48th Anucheda, the theme is that the Lord's senses are transcendent. So you'll see in each Anucheda there will be a particular theme. So particularly in this 48th Anucheda, so you'll see in the Bhagavad Sandarbha, everything related to Bhagavan is transcendental. Jiva Goswami will prove that by quoting the verses of the Bhagavatam. Now in this Anucheda, he is trying to establish the fact that Bhagavan's senses are transcendental. Tasmad apanipada shruterapi sad ananta swaprakasha ananda vigraha eva bhagavati tatparyam na anyatra iti pratipadayanti. Tasmat apani pada shruterapi. There are shruti verses which says that there are Vedic statements which says that apani pada, he has no hands, he has no legs. These are the shruti verses which state. But what is the import of these verses? The import of these verses is that sad ananta swaprakasha ananda vigraha eva. The import of these verses, he has no hands, he has no legs. It appears to show that Bhagavan has no form. But the import of this statement is that Sat Ananta Swa Prakasha Ananda Vigraha Eva Bhagavati Tatparyam Na Anyatra Iti Pratipadayanti. The import of the statement is that the Lord is inherently self-endowed with an eternal, unlimited, self-manifest, blissful form. The statement does not intend any other conclusion. Tatparyam na anyatra iti pratipadayanti. Does not intend any other conclusion means what? What is the other conclusion? That is, Bhagavan is absolute truth, is formless and is without Vishesha. He is without the Visheshana. It does not intend any other conclusion. And what is the proof? The personified Vedas, they state in their prayer. The personified Vedas prayers is quoted. Tvam akaranaha swarad akila kara kashaktidaram tava bali mudvahanti samadantyajaya ajayani mishaha varshabhujo akila kshitipateri vishvasrujo vidadati yatra ye tvadikrita bhavataschakitaha. So the personified Vedas are saying that Tvam akaranaha. Karana means senses, instruments. Tvam akarana, you are without any senses. Swarat, you are supremely independent. Akhila karaka shakti dara, you are the upholder of everyone's sensory powers. Akhila karaka shakti dara. And then there is an analogy given. Balim udvakanti Samadanti Ajaya Nimisha, just as tributary kings pay homage to an emperor, so do the administrators of the universe, accompanied by Maya, bear offerings to you. Varushabhujo Akila Kshitipateriva Vishwasrujo. The administrators, the Vishwasruja means the administrators of the universe, accompanied by Maya, bear offerings to you, while gladly consuming the oblations offered to them by the human beings. So the ordinary human beings, they offer prayers to the different lokapalas of this world, that means the different devatas. But these devatas, they are actually make offerings to you. They come and worship you. Vidadati yatra ye tvadikrita bhavataschakita. They carry out the responsibilities out of awe for you, out of awe and reverence towards you. Bhavataschakitaha. Chakitaha means out of great reverence towards you. These Vishwasrija, these lokapalas of this world, they perform their responsibilities out of great reverence towards you. So this verse is quoted, spoken by the personified Vedas, to show that the import of the statement, that the Shruti statement that the Bhagavan has no hands, no legs. The import of the statement is that the Bhagavan is inherently self-endowed with an eternal, unlimited, self-manifest, blissful form. There is no other conclusion. So in order to prove that this statement is quoted, and this verse is further explained, and we will see that explanation maybe in the next class. Hare Krishna. Anybody else? Hare Krishna. So we'll stop here. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada ki jai,
Jai.
Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki
Radharama
jai.
Prabhu ki jai.